Google has announced that they can identify AI generated images with their technology SynthID. And this is directly from the Google DeepMind blog websites. So let's see exactly how this is going to work out. So the main thing behind this is a tool that's going to watermark and identify the AI generated images that they're calling SynthID. And this is in a partnership with Google Clouds. And essentially what this technology does is it embeds a digital watermark directly into the pixels of the image, making it imperceptible to the human eye, but you can detect it for identification. So in simple terms, in the technology, it will actually be able to have the identification visible and seen for the AI, but for the human, you would not even notice that it's there. So now let's go ahead and take a look at a visual on how this is actually going to work out. So here is this video showcasing how this is going to work. And it's available on Imagen and essentially accessed through Vertex AI on Google Cloud as well. And you can actually add your watermark that makes it invisible to the human, but detectable even if you edit it, such as this, cropping, or even adding filters. And you can see here, you can actually upload content too, and you'll see if it was made by Imagen by scanning for its digital watermark. And this is actually going to be definitely a very lucrative tool to use in the future, seeing how advanced these AI image generating softwares are becoming. And now we can see at least a start on how to identify them. Now you're probably wondering, what's the main purpose for having a watermark added? Well, for most people, it really doesn't matter. No one really cares. It's usually something for either a person who utilizes content and it looks very similar to something, or potentially a person's face. You might not know if they're a real person or not. And identity online, AI generation, someone could be posing as someone who they aren't, pretending to be someone that they shouldn't be. And if you don't know if it's AI generated or not, that could be definitely an issue. On the other hand, there's obviously AI generated anything you can think of. Crazy alien UFO spaceships, crazy whatever you can think of. And at those points you can kind of tell, at least most people might be able to notice that that's not clearly a real picture. But some people might literally not know about AI image generation and believe everything they see. So for example, news media companies putting out content, then how can you predict or how can you fact check it? If, for example, something happens, a celebrity, for example, or something happens in a city that was AI generated, how can you fact check if it actually happened or not? Well, if they have a watermark saying, hey, this was fake AI generated, then that is one solution to that problem. Now, here's interesting. You can see it showcases images with the left side as watermarked and the right side as non-watermarked. And you can just straight up see, at least from my point of view, maybe if you have some crazy vision, who knows, but literally just looking right here by myself, I can see that there is nothing out of the ordinary. I can't even tell any difference in the left side versus the right side. But apparently this is why they say to the human eye that it's invisible, or essentially you can't even notice it, versus the computer, the technology that's utilized behind this should be able to identify that within its pixels, and then boom, tell you whether it was AI generated or not. So they state Google Cloud is the first cloud provider to offer a tool for creating AI generated images responsibly and identifying them with confidence. Now, this is obviously, they state SynthID isn't foolproof. So for example, if you were to do extreme manipulation to your images, then it could be significantly more difficult to identify. And also adding customizations, filters, and many other layers on top of just a basic image definitely could impact the accuracy of this. Now, for those of you who are new or essentially not that familiar with how watermarks work, essentially they are used on images, and sometimes you can see them clearly visible there. Even this video you're currently watching with the name in the top right corner, that's simply there to know that this was the source of this content, and that if someone were to, for example, take something or any sort of online content, for example, with nothing written on it, they could put their own text write whatever they wanted to claim it, even though they didn't create that. And that is one of the reasons why watermarks are used in, at least today, in social media content. Now, regarding that and how that relates to AI image generation, I mean, in terms of the source, the creator, I don't think people really care too much about it, unless obviously it's something that shouldn't have been made. But for most people, an AI generated image of, I don't know, a dog dancing on the moon, I don't think people really care too much who made that. However, for someone who maybe might not be as aware of technology, they might not even know that things can be artificially created. They might think that a dog is on the moon. And then hence we have this AI watermark identifier to confirm that clearly it was not. Now, obviously that is an exaggerated example, but anything, for example, on the beach, you see a giant shark and it could be filtered, it could be photoshopped to look more realistic, blending in with the water of a realistic picture on the beach. I mean, again, there's ways to make scenes that aren't actually there. And then next thing you know it, there's no way to really fact check that without having some sort of watermark saying that this was AI generated. So Google showcases this image, and even after multiple different filters and modifications, which you can see here, different colors, black and white, blue, some sort of like a yellowish green, even super bright contrast, saturation added, it states it can still tell whether or not it was AI generated or not. Now this is a very simple image, and it looks just like a butterfly with a very sort of semi-solid background of somewhat looking like grass, leaves to me, or some sort of plants. However, when it comes to something, I guess, with a lot more action going on, for example, thousands of people on a beach or a crowd, I think that could definitely be something much more difficult to confirm, and definitely would love to see how the AI works regarding that sort of image. So you can actually utilize this if you are a Vertex AI customer, and basically you can do the watermarking as well as identification. So if you want to add a watermark to your synthetic images, you could, as well as identify ones as well. And basically you can see the levels. So digital watermark was detected, which means that it's at least very likely that that was created by AI. Then they have the X was not detected, and then they say possibly detected. So again, these are the three levels. It's either it is, it's not, or it's maybe. Now, quick comments on this. The maybe question, or at least that could potentially affect a lot of people, because let's say you have a older picture or something that just looks outrageous, but maybe the way you took the picture, the lighting, who knows what happens, it looks a little bit AI generated even though it's realistic. And let's just say, for example, this randomly does say maybe. Guess what? Now it's going to be difficult to explain to somebody when they state, hey, this isn't a pure 100%. Now again, this is technology. There's no perfect way to solve everything, but I think that could be problematic. Obviously, let's say the small percentage where that actually does happen and someone's real photo gets mistaken for AI. But I think as of right now, for the most simple pictures, it's definitely not that big of a deal. It starts to become a problem when you start to see fake celebrity faces doing things that they've never done, or events happening in cities that never actually happened. You name it, that's when the AI identification part actually matters. But for the most part, just some random person walking in downtown city, AI generated, isn't really going to be that big of a deal, nor do people probably care. But if you see something like Elon Musk flying a spaceship in Chicago, then you definitely would love to know if that's actually happening, or if that was just some AI generated image that somebody made themselves for fun.